The black man is capable of managing the whole affairs.
Let's start with the impact the 5th Pan-African Congress that was held in Manchester had on Africa. The Congress was held in 1945, chaired by W.E.B. Du Bois, the founder of modern Pan-Africanism, and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of modern Ghana. The Congress was also co-secretary by Jomo Kenyatta, the founder of modern Kenya. Now, it was after this Congress, Africans who had attended started discussing the need for the formation of another organization focusing on the unity and independence of Africa, especially West Africa. Few months after the Congress, Willis Johnson from Sierra Leone, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and Bankole met in December that same year and formed a movement called WANS, West African National Secretariat. The goal of the movement was an absolute independence in West Africa and also foster unity in all West African area, as they believe West Africa was one country with the highlighted word West Africa is one, people of West Africa unite. Now, this is just to clear that the vision of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of uniting Africa, making sure that we have a free trade zone, a unified army that will protect us against external threats, did not just start when he was invited by the UGCC party in Ghana to fight for the independence of Ghana, but way before his invitation, as he believed the independence of Ghana is meaningless until the whole of Africa is independent. After gaining independence for Ghana in 1957, with his sole aim, Africa must unite, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah inspired more than 35 African countries to gain independence within just a decade. That was when he started getting the attention of America, the CIA, the same CIA that contributed in the assassination of Patrice Lumumba and other African liberation fighters. Now, speaking of Patrice Lumumba, I think I'm going to do a special video on Patrice Lumumba, as I believe you cannot share African liberation fighters' history without sharing the history and brutality of Patrice Lumumba and the Congo. But back to the story. The liberation and unity of Africa has always been and will always be a threat to the imperialists, the America and the West. The CIA knew Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's plan to even the extent Dr. Kwame Nkrumah resisted loans and funds from the IMF and World Bank. And the CIA, teaming up with the UK, started masterminding and engineering the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now, during Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's visit in Vietnam, a coup occurred in his absence, led by Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka, and of course instigated by the CIA. And as we know, it's always Africans they will use against their fellow Africans. Dr. Nkrumah was overthrown and the military took over, and since then, I can say the genesis of another phase of Ghana's struggle started. Because the question now is, since then, how far has Ghana come as a country when till date most of the major factories in Ghana were established by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? I was in Tema, one of, if not the most industrious area in Ghana. I saw this establishment myself, the Kapoa, the Valco, the Tema oil refinery, which is even abandoned. And yes, the current president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, invested over $3 billion USD on a cathedral instead of investing that money on national issues like working on this oil refinery that is abandoned in Tema, which I believe will generate income to the economy. And guess what? The cathedral that he spent this money on is even unfinished, so I can say that money also went wasted. This same president, his administration has the highest loan ever from the IMF, while the country's economy is sinking. Recently, there was even a protest for the resignation of the bank governor, to even the extent the renovation of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park was funded by the World Bank. Now, I'm saying all of this because I think it's time with the youth of Africa not only create awareness about these things going on in Africa, but also involved in politics, making sure that the legacy of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah still stands and also bringing his vision to pass, as these current leaders and organizations of Africa are not even working in the interest of Africans. Because imagine we have all these organizations, Africa Union, Economic Community of West African States, Southern African Development Community, East African community, but African leaders still find pleasures in shaking hands with the West, enjoy being the presence of their colonists. What are the functions of all these organizations? Who tricked African leaders into believing that the economic liberation of Africa is going to come from the same people that colonized them and now neo-colonized them? Why African leaders don't find pleasure in shaking the hands of their fellow African leaders discussing the growth of the continent? You see them posting and be like, Kenya and France relationship have grown in the past years, or Ghana-America relationship, or Sierra Leone-America relationship. What is wrong with Kenya-Ghana relationship? What is wrong with Sierra Leone-Nigeria relationship? What is wrong with Nigerian-South Africa relationship? What is wrong with South Africa and Kenya relationship? What is wrong with Rwanda and Sierra Leone relationship? Why do you find pleasure in shaking hands of the West instead of finding pleasure in shaking hands of your fellow African leaders discussing and fostering unity within the continent? Has identity crisis in Africa really gone that bad that even our leaders see themselves that low? It even shows in their ties. Take an example. A German will wake up today, tomorrow he's in Ghana, pay 150 euros at the airport, visa on arrival, and he's in Ghana, do whatever he wants and leave whenever he wants. But a Ghanaian can't even make it to the German embassy, let alone make it to Germany, because for a Ghanaian to go to Germany, he needs appointments to the embassy, and for him to get that appointment to the embassy, it's gonna take like forever online getting that appointment. And when he finally gets that appointment, go to the embassy, beat all the queue, the chance for him to get a visa is like 10%. To conclude this video, I think there should almost be a need for the reform for all these ties and agreements made by our low self-esteem politicians or leaders. And who's going to do that? It's us, the youth of Africa. I think it's time for us to start involving in politics and stop giving unnecessary excuses like, I don't want to talk about politics, or I'm not interested in politics, or I don't want to involve in politics. Well, you don't want to involve, or you are not interested. That's why the people who are interested are these old puppets, and they are there making bad decisions for not only you, but for your future generations. So I think it's time for us, the youth of Africa, start going to politics and create the Africa we want for our kids. The Africa we want our kids to find pride in. Our kids to find pride in their African identity. Till we meet again, my name is Ken, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. But before you go, just know Dr. Nkrumah never dies. Stay blessed.